Most people think deception begins when someone lies to them. It doesn't. It begins the moment they desperately want something to be true. That is why intelligent people are deceived every day. Not because they lack information, not because they are naive, but because the mind quietly edits reality long before anyone else has the chance. Rochefoucauld observed something that still unsettles psychologists centuries later. Human beings rarely see the world as it is. They see the reflection of their own vanity, fear, hope, and ambition. Every manipulation starts there. Think about the last public scandal that shocked millions. A billion-dollar company collapsing overnight. A charismatic leader exposed after years of admiration. A technology once praised as revolutionary, suddenly revealed to be smoke and mirrors. The warning signs existed from the beginning. Thousands looked directly at them. Almost nobody truly saw them. Why? Because the most dangerous deception is never created by the deceiver. It is created by the victim. Tonight, we'll uncover why brilliant minds often become the easiest targets, why confidence can blind more effectively than ignorance, and why the people who appear impossible to fool usually carry the deepest illusions of all. But there is another secret. Near the end of this journey, you'll discover the one form of deception that even history's greatest strategists struggled to escape. Once you recognize it, every conversation, negotiation, friendship, and public performance begins to look completely different. Until then, one question should remain in your mind. If deception doesn't begin with the liar, who actually opens the door? Number 1. The trap hidden inside certainty. People admire certainty because certainty looks like strength. The executive who never hesitates, the politician who answers every question immediately, the influencer who speaks with absolute conviction. They all appear trustworthy because confidence feels contagious. Yet Rochefoucauld understood that certainty is often the first disguise of self-deception. The paradox is uncomfortable. The wiser someone becomes, the easier it is to believe they have finally escaped illusion. That belief quietly becomes the next illusion. Modern technology has only amplified this weakness. Recommendation algorithms constantly feed us information that agrees with our existing beliefs, creating invisible echo chambers that feel like independent thinking. Every click reinforces identity. Every confirmation increases certainty. Eventually, disagreement feels irrational instead of informative. That is precisely when manipulation becomes effortless, because nobody needs to force a lie upon someone already protecting one. The greatest deceivers rarely argue with your beliefs. They simply decorate them. And if certainty is the first prison, what appears to be humility may become an even more dangerous cell. Number 2. Vanity never introduces itself. Almost nobody wakes up believing they are vain. Vanity has learned to wear more respectable clothing. It calls itself integrity. It calls itself intelligence. Sometimes it even calls itself kindness. Rochefoucauld repeatedly pointed toward an uncomfortable truth. People are experts at disguising self-interest as virtue. Look closely at today's digital world. Professionals post carefully crafted stories about authenticity while measuring every reaction. Companies announce moral principles while quietly calculating market advantage. Even personal relationships often become subtle negotiations for admiration disguised as emotional connection. None of this requires malicious intent. Human beings instinctively protect the image they have built of themselves. That image becomes more valuable than reality itself. The twist is that manipulators rarely invent flattering stories. They simply discover the version of yourself you secretly wish were true and reflect it back like a polished mirror. Once someone begins admiring their own reflection, they stop examining the mirror. Yet vanity alone cannot sustain deception forever. Something darker must keep it alive. Number 3. Fear completes what vanity begins. Every illusion survives because fear protects it. Vanity builds the palace. Fear locks every door. Imagine a successful entrepreneur ignoring clear evidence that a trusted business partner is dishonest. Outsiders notice inconsistencies immediately. Employees whisper about suspicious decisions. Financial reports quietly reveal unusual patterns. Still, the entrepreneur refuses to investigate. Why? Because discovering the truth would require admitting years of poor judgment. The emotional cost feels greater than the financial risk. So the lie survives. Not because it is convincing, but because reality has become too expensive. This pattern appears everywhere. Investors hold failing assets because selling means accepting failure. Leaders cling to collapsing strategies because retreat feels humiliating. Friends ignore betrayal because loneliness appears more frightening than honesty. Fear quietly transforms intelligence into denial. Suddenly, the smartest person in the room becomes the easiest person to predict. A manipulator doesn't need extraordinary insight. They only need to identify the truth you are unwilling to face. But fear itself answers to an even older master, one hidden so deeply that most people mistake it for personality. Number 4. The invisible hunger behind every decision. Beneath ambition, beneath fear, beneath pride, there exists a quieter force. The hunger to preserve the story we tell ourselves. Every person carries an internal biography. I am loyal. I am independent. I am impossible to manipulate. Those sentences become invisible laws governing perception. Evidence supporting the story is welcomed immediately. Evidence threatening the story is delayed, questioned, or ignored. Modern psychology calls this confirmation bias. Rochefoucauld described the same mechanism centuries before laboratories existed. We rarely defend the truth. We defend identity. This explains why public debates almost never change minds. Facts collide with identity, and identity almost always wins. Artificial intelligence has made this phenomenon even more fascinating. As AI learns to predict preferences, recommend decisions, and generate personalized conversations, it also learns the narratives people most desperately wish to hear. The future's greatest manipulations may not involve false information at all. They may consist of perfectly accurate information arranged to strengthen comforting illusions. And that possibility raises a far more unsettling question. What if deception is no longer something another person does to you, but something your own mind is continuously manufacturing before anyone else even speaks? Number 5. The experiment no one realizes they are living. Imagine receiving 2 identical messages. The first comes from someone you admire. The second comes from someone you dislike. The words are exactly the same, yet your reaction changes before your brain has even finished reading. One sounds insightful, the other sounds arrogant. One feels trustworthy, the other feels suspicious. Nothing changed except the face attached to the message. This is where the mind quietly abandons logic. We like to believe, we judge evidence first and people second. Reality works in reverse. Reputation edits perception before facts ever arrive. Psychologists call this the halo effect. Rochefoucauld recognized its deeper cause centuries ago. Our judgments are rarely independent. They are recruited by affection, resentment, envy, and pride. Now extend this experiment to politics, business, social media, even artificial intelligence. A prediction made by a famous CEO is praised as visionary. The same prediction from an unknown engineer is ignored. A controversial opinion becomes acceptable the moment a respected public figure repeats it. The content barely changes, the identity does. This is why influence is often mistaken for truth. The most dangerous deceiver does not convince you to believe something new. They convince you to trust the wrong narrator. Once that happens, your own intelligence begins defending conclusions you never truly examined. And just when you think this vulnerability belongs only to ordinary people, history introduces a far more unsettling surprise. Number 6. Why brilliant minds fall first. People imagine deception as a problem for the uninformed. History suggests the opposite. Some of the greatest political leaders, military commanders, investors, and scholars have fallen victim to elegant illusions. Their intelligence was never the weakness. Their confidence in their own judgment was. A strategist who has predicted 10 outcomes correctly begins believing the 11th must also be within his control. A billionaire assumes success in one industry guarantees wisdom in another. A respected academic mistakes expertise for universal insight. Every victory quietly expands the territory of certainty until reality finally refuses to cooperate. Rochefoucauld understood that success carries an invisible tax. Every achievement tempts the ego to believe it has become immune to error. Ironically, the people who fear appearing foolish often become the least capable of admitting they have been fooled. Modern technology magnifies this pattern. Algorithms reward confidence, not caution. Public certainty attracts followers. Quiet doubt rarely goes viral. The marketplace celebrates decisive voices while quietly punishing intellectual restraint. Over time, performance replaces perception. People stop asking whether they are right and begin asking whether they still appear right. That subtle shift changes everything. Because the moment protecting your image becomes more important than discovering the truth, deception no longer comes from outside. It begins wearing your own face. And hidden beneath that realization lies the secret Rochefoucauld spent his life exposing.